Hello, my name is Eric Munson, and this is my presentation for Women Studies 200. So my topic is on the media portrayal of Muslim women. So let me move my thing here, sorry. Uh, so as far as rising Islamophobia and negative portrayal in the media. So you may be asking yourself, is Islamophobia rising? The short answer is yes. And there's a link to an NPR article here, which basically some of these stats came from that article, where even though Muslims only make up about 1% of the US population, that mosques are slowly growing. Chicago 25% and Dallas and Atlanta is between 50 to 70%, an increase in the amount of mosques. And according to the ISPU, about 44% of white evangelicals, that's exactly what it said in the article, had some level of Islamophobia and felt that way towards Muslims. And this study from Georgetown is a study about how much negative media portrayal there is of Muslims. And it's actually disproportionately all negative, jihadism, terrorism, whatever. And Trump's executive order 13769, also known as the Muslim ban, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'll get into that a little bit later on, but basically Trump, if you don't know, Trump restricted people coming in from various countries that are predominantly Muslim, like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran. And again, I'm not entirely sure what had happened because there were so many different changes to that. But anyway, that's just some context. Now I'm going to dive into some more what I would consider trying to break the stereotypes and the negative portrayals of Muslims in media. So this is the trailer for a Dutch movie called Layla M, which is about a girl in the Netherlands who travels to, well, she becomes a fundamentalist Muslim and then ultimately goes to Syria to join ISIS. And it's a really, really depressing movie. So I'm going to show you this trailer. So I'm just going to shut up for about a minute and a half. So that's just an example of what can happen. And it's and the English subtitles because the film is in Dutch. I probably should have mentioned at the beginning. And I'm not going to show this video because I don't want to go over time. I'll just explain that this video is by a woman named Azeva Z, and it was on the campus of Middlebury College in Vermont. And it was her going around asking students, how they felt about, the Muslim headdress, like, the hijab. And a lot of a lot of the students seem to be very tolerant, very accepting of it. But it was, and there's a lot of different terms for the types of dresses. And I'm not going to get into that, but they started to feel uncomfortable when people wear like the full face things that have like just the eyes showing. People start to feel a bit more uncomfortable there. But for the most part, the students in this at Middlebury seem to think, if that's how you want to express yourself, that's fine. It's a very good video. I would highly recommend you watch that. All right, so now I'm going to move on to like the art and music portion of this presentation. So Saba Chowdhury Bernard is an artist who is known for her, how should I say, widely colorful and somewhat surreal images of Muslim women. So on the right here, I have two pictures of hers. I'm just going to let you take a look at those for a minute, and I'm going to describe the painting on the left, which is called Maesta. And to me, this is sort of like a juxtaposition of Islamic art and Christian art. One of the things is like, we need to understand and we need to have an appreciation of the different cultures. And I actually really like this image because to me, you can see the woman and the child here. And to me, that sort of presents a symbol of like, it's parallel to the Virgin Mary and Jesus, and hence also why they have a Christian halo, as you can see on all the people in the photo. I think it's a very, very powerful image and kind of shows the difference in the cultures, but juxtaposes them together into one concrete thing. All right, so and as far as music, so Carl Jenkins is a Welsh composer, and he's actually one of my favorite composers. He specializes primarily in classical and new age music. And The On Demand is my favorite piece by him. And I have the flag of Kosovo on the slide because this piece, which is a mass, is dedicated to the victims of the Kosovo crisis. And what's unique about Kosovo is apparently over 90%, I think it's like 95 or 98% of its population is Muslim. And if you listen to this music, I'm plus we're in quarantine, so if you need something to listen to, I would recommend this. The entirety of the second movement is the Muslim call to prayer. And listening to it the first time, I thought that was kind of strange, but it made sense in the context of the story and what he was trying to show. So I think it's a very unique symbol. And it again, like I said, if you need something to listen to during quarantine, this is what you should watch. Again, I'm also not going to show this video because I don't want to go over time, but Mona Haydar is a Muslim rapper. She's American, but she's Muslim, and honestly, rap music is something that I don't think a lot of people would associate with Islam, particularly Islamic women. And this is actually a very good song. It's very catchy, and it's just sort of again like an appreciation of the culture between, like trying to have a more of an understanding of the culture between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. So again, you can watch this in your own time. I'm not going to show it right now, but just so it's here for your reference. I'm going to move on to an advertisement by Gap. So this is just one of many images that appeared in this particular advertisement. And as you can see in the foreground, there was a girl wearing a hijab. And this ad had generated, let me just say, it generated mixed reviews from the public. The general consensus was this is a great symbol. Like, it's more diverse, it's more inclusive, and people really like that. However, as I later found out, this ad did anger some people, mostly people, as mentioned earlier, the white evangelicals, and actually it pissed off the French Parliament because now they already had very strained relations with the Muslim people, and I don't want to get in the middle of that. I'm not one to speak authoritatively on the French political system, but they were having a lot of problems, and they really didn't feel comfortable with this ad. They actually tried to boycott Gap, and that honestly did not go anywhere. But it just goes to show that, even when you try and make things diverse, you're always going to end up pissing someone off. All right, and I'm going to move on to this. Home Fire is a novel written by Kamila Shamsi. And this novel it's actually a modern retelling of the ancient Greek play Antigone. So if you haven't read Antigone, I'm not going to explain too much about that, but basically this novel is about a British Pakistani family that's Muslim, and it's sort of about the experiences, trying to integrate into this society. And it reaches a point, I'm not going to spoil too much, but at some point the brother ends up joining ISIS, and that's just kind of where everything starts to go downhill. But it's a very good novel, and it's actually a very realistic story of kind of what happens when, and kind of I also showed you the trailer for Layla M. Both of those sort of ties to the same theme about like how joining ISIS and being radicalized can affect family life, both in the media portrayal and in the familial life of the Muslim families. But if you need something to read during quarantine, this is a very good novel, but I would highly recommend that you read Antigone first, just so that you can feel the parallels that are in this novel. All right, and finally, I had the privilege of interviewing one of my mom's friends named Suwat Al-Sheikli. Now, she's originally from Iraq, then lived in Jordan, then moved to the United States in 2008. And I talked to her a lot about her experiences and what she feels being a Muslim in America actually means. And so she said that the way that life differs in Iraq compared to Jordan compared to here, it's not necessarily about religion. It's more so about like the familial life and the community that you develop. Like, yes, in places that are like Iraq and Jordan that are predominantly Muslim, you have that community. And of course, in the United States, which is I would say predominantly Christian, you have a different community and a smaller community. And like I've been saying earlier, people just need to learn more. And that's what I've been trying to do this entire time, just trying to educate people and showing people, you know, this juxtaposition between Islamic culture and Christian culture, among other topics, because Islamophobia and xenophobia, at least what Sulaf was saying, that uh, people, it's most of the people are ignorant, not so much that they don't know, it's just that they're ignorant of the culture, and that tends to be what causes Islamophobia and xenophobia. And also, a few bad people doesn't represent everyone. So, in a normal situation, yes, there's some bad people out there, of course. Like, as I was showing you earlier with Layla M and Kamala Shamsi's Home Fire, joining ISIS, the, jihadism, terrorism, these kinds of topics. Yes, that's a problem, but it doesn't represent all the Muslims. And in a normal situation, we need to understand that, like, the media portrayals all show, something about jihadism or something about terrorism. And because if you don't know the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads, then violence tends to be more newsworthy than an actual feature on uh, Muslim women in general. Like, as opposed to actually talking about Muslim life, people tend to talk about just like the bad people. And this is something to keep in mind. When we refer to like blacks, Latinx, Asians, whoever in the media, we talk about them as a race. But why is it that with just the Muslims, we group them together as a religion? That's just something I want you to think about. Why do we refer to Muslims as a religious group as opposed to by their actual race or their actual cultures? And I just want to end with this quote by Sulaf: taking a wide sample from the world, it's cross-cultural. The religion is the same, but there are different customs and traditions. That's just something I want you to keep in mind as you think about the kind of the things I've talked about and the way that the Muslims are portrayed and the way that we need to educate ourselves and understand the difference in culture. This slide is just a link to two. You can check these yourself. If you want these videos, you can look these up, or these articles, I should say. The Muslima pageant is a beauty pageant dedicated solely to Muslim women, and it doesn't rely heavily on all of the things that we associate with like a beauty pageant, which honestly I think it's a very interesting piece, and I would highly recommend you read it. And this Ramadan article is about a group of Muslims that during the holy week of Ramadan, they were helping out hospitals and people by giving them food. Because I think to quote one of the people in the article, they said something like, because during Ramadan, we don't really eat anyway, and that people are locked up anyway. So to them, it really didn't make much of a difference. But yeah, these are just two articles of course, I can't cover every facet of this in one 10, 15-minute presentation. But I would recommend you look at these two links. I can supply those if you need them. But otherwise, that's it. And thank you for your time.